I'm Justin Boyd.
Tristan Jones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Also, welcome to Watchers Football, a podcast within a podcast, and a podcast that's all about the pigskin. Today, we are here to discuss the 4 playoff games from the NFL Divisional Round, and also a little bit later on, we'll get to the college football playoff national championship game. But we got to hit the pros first. Lots of stuff to talk about, Tristan. We're going to start with the Texans because we are, after all, in Houston. We're a Houston podcast. So let's start with the Texans, who took on the New England Patriots in Foxborough. The Patriots came away with a 28-16 win. The Texans now have lost three straight years their seasons ended in the divisional round. The franchise has never made it past the divisional round. They're now 0-7 in that game. And CJ Stroud had a game he would like to forget. What are your thoughts on CJ and just the game overall?
My first thought, honestly, is that while the Texans, again, plateaued in the same round that they have historically always have, it used to be that they would plateau in the divisional round in like a Saturday 3 o'clock, NFL Network type of game. Like they were this close to prime time, like this. That tells you the level of seriousness that the NFL ascribes to that franchise now. Having like, obviously, there's been years that they've had really good defenses. It's been years where, it kind of looked, if you kind of squint it really hard, it looked like they could, they had like the outline of a Super Bowl contender. This is the first year, again, since I was a senior in high school, which is when the Texans came, to Houston, that you feel like the way that people see them, like they look like a legitimate, maybe it's, this parity year where, just a weird year where, some of your at least elite quarterbacks, not necessarily elite teams, are out of it, at least the teams that we're used to seeing there outside of Buffalo. The Texans got top billing. The flip side of that is, if you're going to get top billing, the worst is that your quarterback like defecates on himself, in front of the entire nation. He might replace the JJ McCarthy meme. Like that's how bad it was. It was really, really, it was so bad. And again, just context for those who didn't see it. Like he threw 4 picks, and we were talking before we got on. Like it could have been 8, it could have been 10. Honestly, if you just look at the quality of passes that he was making. And for me, the thing that I'll take away the most from this game is 2 things. One, that Texans defense was good enough to carry them to not just a Super Bowl, but a Super Bowl win. Like there are no weaknesses. There's no weaknesses on the front line. There are no weaknesses with their linebackers. There's a slight weakness, in the secondary with Lassiter, but only because you're juxtaposing him with probably the best, at least the cornerback who played the best this year, and Derek Stingley. But like, it's hard to get to Lassiter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need a bunch of things to go right just to pick on Kamari Lassiter, which New England definitely tried to do. I would also, argue that they paid for it. That defense was absolutely good enough for them to get a Super Bowl win. And then the second thing, obviously, is that CJ Stroud, if he was just bad, the Texans could have still won this game. If he played a bad game and not like a almost historically bad game, bad playoff game, I think they had a chance to still win if he was just like a 30 out of 100. You know what I'm saying? And he was like a 10. He's like, you have to repeat grade, brother. Like it was that bad. It was that bad that they were saying he was essentially playing for his job or playing for his next contract at halftime. You never want that to be the conversation. So, heavy as the head, like we take you seriously now, Texans. Like you've had 3 straight years with D'Amico Ryans, who looks like headed towards being an elite coach. You have a defense that makes people pick you to win, get to a Super Bowl, maybe even win it. Like you got to put that next piece in and like, hey, if the defense is going to be this good, then the offense has to eventually catch up. And we have some questions about the quarterback going forward. And that's not what we expected coming into these playoffs.
No, I mean, even last year, he didn't play great in Kansas City in that loss, but
he wasn't bad either, though.
He wasn't bad. You're right, and it's like, well, you lost the 2-time defending champions. It's different. I think you made a great point. You made a couple of great points there. One, like, it was different this year because you're right. The team has kind of risen in the eyes of the NFL, the general public, and that's because obviously the defense is powered by the defense. But conversely, the quarterback play has gone the other way, and you never want that. And this whole season, he didn't play this to this level of bad, but he never looked great to me. He was always kind of shaky. Like, it was always like he was very conservative. And then it's like in this game, I wish he'd been more conservative, and they could have won the game because he had 4 picks all in the first half. One was a pick 6. To me, that one was just like, first of all, I want to talk about the play calling in that game. All the cutesy little play fakes and stuff, they didn't have time to do that. And on that was a play where he had a play fake. He's rolling around, and the defender's right there. And it's like he just threw it up. I mean, it wasn't like there was much on that ball. That was a huge play. 'Cause at that point, it's 10-7 Texans. Mm-hmm. The pick 6 makes it 14-10 Patriots. And that's when they just took control of the game. And that's when he really fell apart. And it's like, if he throws 2 picks instead of 4, they maybe win this game. Like, if they just kick field goals in the second half with the way the defense is playing, they probably win this game. And that's what this would probably hurts the most for Texans fans, because this is the closest they've really ever been. And this was a year where it's wide open. And they could be going to Denver to face Jared Stidham. Like, that's the reality of this situation. And the fact that they're going home because their quarterback just could not, make basic plays or just protect the ball. He could not do that at all. And that's what's most disappointing about this one for me.
We talked about it last week with Pittsburgh. And coming into this week, we were like, essentially what's the difference between Pittsburgh and New England, as far as like facing that defense. And it's like, hey, the reason why it's so hard for great defenses who are countering their own inept offenses is that we notice in basketball, we should know this in football as well. A good offense is going to beat a great defense, 8 times out of 10. All it really takes is a few plays here and there. Like, right. You can dink and dunk first and second down. If you can get one busted coverage, or, hey, Drake May, perfect throw along the sideline to Boutte against Stingley. Like, he couldn't have thrown that pass any more perfect. Like, he put it literally in the only spot where, Boutte could get it away from Stingley, touchdown. That's just great offense beating great defense. That coverage was perfect almost from Stingley. And it only takes those small things. We saw it with, we obviously talk about Buffalo and Denver, but like, I thought Denver's defense was actually really good. It's just, there's just certain plays that a good offense or a Superman level, MVP level quarterback is just going to make that's going to, outdo your defense. Like, your defense can play at an A+ level, and all it takes is a few A+ throws or an A+ run or special teams. Like, you need, if your defense is going to be at an A-, A+ level, you need at least a B- offense, B+ offense, because on the flip side, hey, you're going to have special players that make special plays against your great defense. Hell, some of the most iconic plays in the history of the NFL are against great defense. The helmet catch, is against great defense. The Mario Manningham from Eli Manning on the sideline was against perfect coverage. Like, these things just happen. So you're right. We talk about Josh Allen, and other quarterbacks, like, hey, this is the time to go and get this Super Bowl, because there may not be another opportunity. We should have been saying the same thing about a lot of these other teams, especially the Texans, where you have this young quarterback who, like you said, has been shaky. But at least earlier in the year, when we talked about how shaky he was, we could at least ascribe some of it to, external factors. Hey, the offensive line, we know the offensive line has been bad to average at best for 2 years now, right? There's been inconsistencies in the availability of some of his weapons. Nico Collins in and out. Tank Dell, we know, has been out for the year since he got hurt in Kansas City last year. Like, there's just so many other things that we could ascribe it to, along with, hey, it looks like CJ has kind of regressed a little bit, but this thing, he started playing better towards the end of the year. The main thing that I'll take away from his performance, I meant to say this earlier, is that he just looks shook.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing when I'm looking at a lot of the criticisms from former players across the shows, literally that day of, not even something that they could marinate on and come back in Monday morning quarterback you. No, like the day of.
Yeah.
At halftime.
At halftime, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, hey, he looks scared. You know what I'm saying? And that's been the biggest indictment of his ability to get that big contract after his rookie deal is over. It's like, man, who was it? Shady McCoy, Emmanuel Acho, a lot of other guys were like, man, it just doesn't look like he has that dog in him. Which is a way to say he looks scared, and you could see it, like it's kind of radiating from the screen in 4K. It's like, hey man, you look scared, like his eyes are open, like you look unsure. You're throwing a ball 2 feet behind your receivers, like late and behind, like you're begging for kick sixes. You know what I'm saying? So like, whoo, it's a rough thing to like get your hopes up because of how just really, really great one side of the ball is playing, and to be handcuffed by the other side, especially 2 years after he had what at the time we thought was maybe the best rookie quarterback season of all time. And to see the regression, not just in the play, but like in the mentality and the spirit, the soul, that's got to be depressing.
Yeah, he definitely looked rattled, like you said. But I just feel like if they gave him like quick hitters, he needed to just get the ball, get it out, like just play point guard. He didn't need to have the ball in his hand as long as he did. I mean, he didn't have a lot of time to throw anyway. So it's like, just get it out there. Like, mix it up, run a toss play, just do something different besides the same stuff over and over.
I'm glad you said that. That was a great point. But here's where the ceiling of CJ Stroud comes into play, because yes, you are 200% correct. He needed to play more point guard. Quick pass. What Mahomes was trying to do. Quick pass, boom, boom, boom. Matriculate your way down the field, pick up 3 yards on a rush here and there. But also Mahomes has the option of running. And we've known since college that CJ Stroud has been reluctant to like really break out that part of the game, because it's a math thing. At what point, where the yards supposed to come from, right? If you don't have enough time to take a 5-step drop and like scan the field, you're not scanning the field against the Texans defense.
Yeah,
there's no scanning. You have one side of the field, make a read. You ain't got to get off of it. Yeah. But like you also, and he did it a couple times in the second half in that first drive. Get out there and pick up some yards yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to stretch the limits of your abilities, because just sitting back, dropping back is, like you said, that's not gonna work, against this defense, especially when you get down because of mistakes that you made in the first half, like gargantuan mistakes that you made in the first half. Part of that conservatism is those shorter throws, sure throws, and hey, 1-2, I'm gone. Like I'm just gonna stretch this defense out even just a little bit to find some space. And because he's reluctant to do that, on top of him being rattled, in the pocket, the situation, like you're down, like on the road in the inclement weather, like everything just kind of worked against him in the worst possible way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the Texans, he's their guy, at least for next year. They're not getting rid of him. I don't think they're going to bring in someone to compete against him. No. I don't even there was talk at halftime. You could see they would show him on the camera once in a while, Davis Mills, maybe bringing him in. I knew they weren't going to do that. I mean, who knows? Maybe he could have come in and like at least not turn the ball over. But I mean, this is going to be CJ's job to lose next season, and I think he still can be a good player. I don't think we can just write him off, but he's going to have to improve, and he's just gonna have to take off with the ball, like you said. Whenever there's chances, like there's opportunities, you got to take them. Like
Yeah.
all the other quarterbacks do that. Like that's what you have to do. But they've got to change the system a little bit and just make it. I don't know, like just got to get the ball out of his hands, especially in that situation. You got to do something different, mix it up. Do they not have any trick plays? Do they not have any like kind of thing where have a wildcat play or something like something to mix it up, just to make the Patriots like think about, oh, you might be doing something besides like this 5-step drop,
Yeah.
like let's
Or,
let's try something different.
or dedicate yourself to the run.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, hey, Nick Chubb,
yeah,
like turn back the clock a couple of years. Like
yeah,
you really don't have any other. I know Woody Marks got hurt a little bit, but like, and
yeah,
Nick Chubb is washed. We know, like Nick
yeah.
Chubb is washed up. I joked in a group chat like he used his good runs up in like October. That was it. Yeah, like where these yards going to come from? You either gonna run it or you're gonna pass it. They're not gonna let you pass it how you want to pass it. You're gonna have to find other ways to run. Like you said, like some RPOs, man. Get the ball moving, try to get out to the edge, do something. But like dropping back in that instance was a negative on arrival. You know what I'm saying? Like as you were calling the play, it's a negative. It just wasn't the situation for it. Me and Frank talk about this all the time, like with Jordan Love. Like, hey, sometimes it's not a Jordan Love game.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a hey, let me do enough around, to supplement the run game or whatever, the quick pass game. But this is not a 315 yards, hell, even a 250-yard game. This is maybe 215 and a touchdown, no turnovers, and let's try to win this at the end or some type of thing. And he did the absolute opposite. And yeah, like you said, a lot of that is on the play calling. Just, hey, I need to see what's happening in front of me. But man, CJ it's gonna take a while for him to lay this down. Man.
Yeah. On the other side, you had Drake May, who he might be the MVP. He did make some exceptional throws. Like you said, the one to Kayshon Boutte, like at the end, like perfect throw, perfect one-handed catch, just a total highlight reel touchdown. But Drake May, he he didn't have he didn't have interceptions. He had the fumbles. They forced 4 fumbles on that guy. And Will Anderson got sacked him 3 times, got the ball twice. And I was talking to some people at work today. I was like, Drake May was very fortunate that Will Anderson only got the ball, because he could have really messed up his arm, because they got him 3 times like that. And it really was incredible.
It was like every time he got it, he was like this.
I know. It's amazing that they didn't injure him and they got the ball. I mean, I'm not rooting for him to get hurt. I don't want that to happen, but like, it's just incredible that didn't happen, because it seemed like it was right there for the taking almost. And then the way they got the ball out was, the defense was incredible.
Yeah. It's amazing he didn't have more fumbles. Being honest, like it got to a certain point where I said to somebody, like, at some point you got to change like your cadence, like something. It felt like Will Anderson knew exactly when the ball was going to be snapped, and he was a beat quicker, and he beating a rookie. This is also Will Anderson against a rookie. Even though he's just in his 3rd year, like he's legitimately a top 3 defensive player in the league, and they didn't really chip. They had a lot of trust in Will Campbell, and Will Campbell's really good. Will Campbell on that day he was getting his ass handed to him by Will Anderson. So like, again, that's also on play calling. That's also on CJ. Like, hey, you might want to, shift the protection. Not CJ, Drake May. You might want to shift the running back over there, chip, do something, because it felt like every time he dropped back, he was going to get hit and he was going to drop the ball, and that's something he struggled with all year. But this, again, all you need is a few plays. Like, great offense beats great defense, and he made some special throws when he needed to, and really that touchdown to Kayshon Boutte, like that essentially put the game away, because there was no reason to believe on the other side that CJ Stroud and that offense was going to like move the ball down the field. And we didn't really speak on it, but the New England defense, like they really stepped up. I thought they were average defense all year, and they just continue to get better. we talked about the schedule, but you can build really good habits and like you can find some really good things to take into the playoffs from a weak schedule. It's just like, can you still execute? And they went and executed. So it's kind of the opposite. Like the defense is getting better, and I would argue that the offense has looked a little shaky the last couple of weeks. But it's going to happen with a second-year quarterback. It's going to happen when you don't really outside of Boutte. Diggs was good. You don't have the most explosive offense. It's really good. Josh McDaniels is doing a great job scheming them, but like this isn't the most explosive offense that we're going to see. But hey, they were good enough to get a win.
Yeah, good enough to move on to the AFC title game.
Yeah,
they'll take on the Denver Broncos because the Broncos on Saturday beat the Bills 33-30 in overtime. This game is loaded with storylines. I mean, so much to talk about. You had, one of Bo Nix's best games. Then we find out he breaks his ankle late in overtime. You got Josh Allen with a 4 turnover game. He has he's Superman. He put up some really good numbers. He made some great plays, but also he had the 4 turnovers. You have the fact that Jarrett Stidham is going to start in the AFC title game, and you have the of course the controversy between the catch/interception that was Brandon Cooks and Jaquan McMillan. So Tristan, take it away. What do you want to talk about first with this game?
Well, first, let me say Josh Allen is Superman. If Superman almost defeated the villain while
Almost
also
saved the day.
damaging a few major cities in a state, like, yeah, you're Superman, but you fuck some shit up on your way out. We can start with Denver. I will start with first.
Yeah.
I say this as a Chiefs fan. I'm heartbroken for Bo Nix, and that's got to be brutal. Getting all the way to the end of that game, get into overtime, and like right before kneel down, you really essentially just kind of running a play to get the ball in a better spot, and and fracture ankle. That's gotta hurt. Like that's pretty brutal. That's sports, man. Sports. As someone who's sports has kicked me in the nuts this weekend. As a Warriors fan, that's gotta suck, and that I definitely feel for Bo Nix in that situation. The Broncos. It's hard. It was a really weird game because I can't really look at that and say, man, the Broncos played really well.
Yeah.
I definitely can't say that on the Buffalo. I can't say that Buffalo didn't play well either. Like this is just both teams just kind of capitalizing off each other's mistakes, in the right time. Josh Allen surely gave the Broncos a lot of opportunities to score points. I think they got 10 off of his turnovers in a 3-point game. We'll get to the Buffalo side, but I thought the Broncos just did enough. I thought Bo Nix did make some really good plays, some really good throws to either keep those drives going or to get points in the red zone. So I think they deserve a lot of credit there. They didn't run the ball particularly well, but they ran the ball at they were really timely in their runs. And the defense was part good in certain situations. I definitely didn't think that they would, allow the Bills to kind of move the ball the way they did it at the end before they messed that up. But I thought the defense was better than the numbers. Again, they did enough to win. Sad about Bo Nix, but this weekend showed why Sean Payton is, regarded as he is, because he's going to scheme up those receivers. He's going to scheme up open guys. He's not going to put too much of the game in his, limited quarterback's hands. I did like first half. Cortland Sutton was invisible for the most part, and he became a bigger part of that offense in the second half. So that lets me know that, hey, this Broncos team can still be competitive next weekend in a conference championship game. I don't think they'll win, but there's enough there to say, okay, they could be competent, for at least 3 quarters against the Patriots. So we'll see. But on the Denver side, like I said, I thought they played a good enough game. They took advantage of the mistakes that Buffalo gave them. turn those into points. They had an opportunity, honestly, to like extend that lead out in the first half until Josh Allen gave him another opportunity. But like, they did enough.
Yeah, you know, the Broncos are kind of a funny team for me because they're just a team I don't enjoy watching because I don't like their offense. I mean, their defense is great, but I've never really watched. I've never liked watching games from Mile High or whatever this Invesco or Empower Field, whatever it's called now. There's something about that setting. It just doesn't like. I don't know. I never thought it was like a great setting to watch a game. Buffalo. The only reason why I do like watching them is because of Josh Allen, James Cook. Like they're kind of an exciting team, right? And this was one of those classic kind of Buffalo games where they fall behind because of the mistakes. They rally back. They seemingly have a chance to put the game away. They don't do it. Then there's a controversial play, and it just I mean, to me, this was easily the most entertaining game of the weekend. Although we'll get to the Bears Rams later because it had one of the best moments, in NFL playoff history, I think. But this game, it was a fun game to watch. But even if Bo Nix wasn't hurt, I don't know that I would think think they had a great chance next week anyway, even though they're at home. But the Broncos they're such an odd team because like they played so many one score games, and unlike the Chiefs of last year, where you're like, well, the Chiefs have the pedigree, they've got the proverbial banners on the wall. The Broncos don't, but they keep finding ways to win these close games. And to me, I always think that luck's going to run out at some point, but it keeps going. And but for Josh Allen and the Bills, it's a familiar ending. Like this is once again not getting to the Super Bowl. It cost Sean McDermott his job on Monday morning. They fired him after 9 seasons, 9 playoff seasons. Also, by the way, like that's for a team that hadn't been to the playoff for 17 straight years before he got there. To fire him after 9 very competitive seasons is, I get it. I get you want to get over the hump, but that's pretty tough. And also considering the play, we can talk about it now. The catch that wasn't a catch that turned out to be an interception ruled on the field. When you're watching that play, what did you think? Did Cooks make the catch? Was he down and then McMillan ripped it away, or like what would you have called that?
I would have called it an interception because it wasn't a catch. It's like I know there's a lot of consternation about like what is a catch these days, but like a basic tenet of what a catch is you got to survive the ground. Like I guess that's so drilled into my head now. Just hearing it like survive the ground. He didn't survive the ground. Now I also think that's it's almost an impossible thing to judge real time, especially as you're watching. Like I'm honestly not. I'm paying attention to the play, but I'm not like DBs come up with a ball all the time. And then I think Brandon Cook's back was turned. Both of them, like you couldn't really see the ball from the side of where the camera was. So, but when I saw the replay, I was like, oh, that's clear interception. He brought the ball almost to the ground, and he didn't even have full control of it as he was coming down. And by the time he got to the ground, the ball was away from him. It's clear interception. I would also say, and this kind of goes. This is kind of familiar loss for Buffalo. The script for them, at least outside of the wild card round, is a little bit different because they're usually going up against a very good quarterback. And outside of the 2 Lamar wins, they don't win those games. They played 7 games against what we would consider like the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks in the league now, like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and obviously Patrick Mahomes. Again, they're 2-0 against Lamar, lost to Burrow in a game where they only scored 3 points at home. And then we know the 4 losses, which all look, the last 2 are very similar, but the first 2 couldn't be more different. And this is where we talk about this is where it becomes unfamiliar because, 2020, that game's not close. They essentially get their doors blown off by Kansas City. But that's young Josh Allen, still developing. They're really like a year early as far as getting to that point. 2021, we have the famous 13-second game. What a lot of people, what we don't talk about a lot in that game is that the Bills were on the verge of getting blown out in that game. Honestly, the last 3 Chiefs-Bills games, there's a play here or there where they could have gotten blown out.
Yeah.
2020, they were down 2 scores in 2021. 2023, McCole Hardman fumbles as they're about, the Chiefs are about to go in for another touchdown to put them up, I want to say 10 before the half, in which they were getting the ball back. And then 2024, same thing. If they stop, Buffalo drives the length of the field. Josh Allen throws a great touchdown pass. I want to say somebody over Trent McDuffie right before the half. If they don't get a touchdown there, the Chiefs still had time to get a score. And again, they could have went up 2 scores before the half, in which they would have gotten the ball back. This one is different because, like you said, there are the mistakes early, which kind of put you in a hole. You rally back because you have Josh Allen, you have this high-powered offense, even without these, high-end, weapons on the outside. And then at the end, there's just it's like sandwich, right? Like sandwich with these mistakes from Josh Allen. This was completely on Josh Allen. And there's smaller moments in those previous Bills losses where we don't think about them because some, Bass misses a field goal. We think about that and not the passes that Josh Allen missed underneath because he was going for a deep pass where he had no business going for a deep shot to the end zone. Or the fumbles that he had, the almost fumbles, the almost interceptions last year in Kansas City. For me, watching that game, there's so many things in the margin that Josh Allen struggles with that we gloss over because he's Superman. And those things, they showed up, the inaccuracies, missing the touchdown throws, he panics a lot, with pressure. He panics and makes the IQ of his passes drops significantly. And we saw that all those things kind of showed and reared their head on Sunday. And for McDermott, I guess I do understand because with there's Harbaugh and Lamar, and then there's McDermott and Josh Allen. No quarterback or coach duo has been together as long and not made a Super Bowl. So I guess from the Bills' perspective, it's hey, if not now, win.
Right.
We didn't make it this year. No Holmes, no Lamar. When are we going to do it? So maybe they felt hey, we're not losing much in making this change, but all of those Bills, every Bills loss, was kind of stuffed into this one loss, to Denver. And at the end of the day, Josh Allen got outplayed by Bo Nix. That's either going to get your quarterback traded, cut, not extended, or it's going to get your coach fired. Yeah. There's no in between.
Yeah. In this case, it was coach fired. I do want to revisit real quick the play with Cooks and McMillan. My problem with the play is not necessarily the call on this individual play. Mine is the lack of consistency with these calls, because the very next day you have Devontae Adams catching a pass over the middle. He goes to a knee. The Bears defender has a hand on the ball as he's going down. As he goes down to a knee, the Bears defender rips the ball away. You can't say Devontae survived the ground because he didn't come away with the ball. So to me, it's if that's the standard for it, then you've got to be consistent, because it was literally the next day, 24 hours later, you had a similar play. Now the Cooks pass, obviously it's a deeper pass. It's over the shoulder. There's not a great camera angle really, but
I also think there's more of an argument of Devontae making a football move. You can make more of a case for him making a football move than you can for Brandon Cooks. Again, he didn't even get to all the way to the ground with it. So no, I definitely agree that there needs to be more consistency just in general on catch rules. But once you tell me that, hey, you got to survive the ground, and he doesn't survive the ground, it removes all, it removes the vagueness from it, So I
get
get it.
It's just really hard to like to survive the ground, but then survive someone on the ground ripping the ball away.
Yeah.
Like it's some
Yeah.
gotta be like honestly, in the moment I go, I go, that's like a tie in baseball. Tie goes to the runner. You know, it's a simultaneous
Right.
catch. That's honestly what I thought. I was like, it's a tie, so the offense gets it. And then they're like, no, no. And also the thing about the play that was very odd is how quickly they made the call
Mhm.
and they didn't seem like they had any interest in looking it over. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this is a time where you should take a look. I mean, maybe you know what, and that's what McDermott made the case after the game. He said, "Look, maybe it is a catch, or maybe it is an interception. That's fine, but at least let's look at it and let's make sure we know it's an interception, and not just like move on to the next play as fast as we can." Which is what it seemingly they did. Which I also had a problem with that because I'm like, come on, like there are games in September 2nd and 4. We'll look at a play over and over and over for 5 minutes to figure out where is it, is it 2nd and 4? Is it 2nd and 3? Like what, like, but in this, in overtime of a massive playoff game, you're just moving on as quickly as possible. There's got to be some stuff you got to have some logical
Well,
comments.
maybe it could be the fact that if they rule it as an intercept, like you have to review that anyway, right? You have to
Right.
review any type of turnovers.
Yeah.
So maybe I again definitely agree. I just also think that bigger picture, but I mean it's hard to get more bigger picture than a super controversial interception call in overtime. That's also a pass Josh Allen didn't have to make.
Oh,
like,
no doubt, no doubt.
Like that it's yes. Again, I totally agree with like the speed at which they called it. Like I understand the consternation behind that, but like just bigger picture for like how we look at quarterbacks and like decision making and the risk reward of like super big play versus understanding situations and stuff like that. This is where not again, I'm biased, but like this is where I get confused. And we've talked about, especially with me and Frank, we've talked about how frustrated it is looking at the media landscape and how they coddle Josh Allen and talk about him, and how like there's this rush to crown him as the best quarterback in the league. Yeah. When like there's little things like that are on the margin that we might not, the average NFL fan might not look at and say, damn, this is a big reason why we lost this game. Like it's those small decisions. Yeah. Like he didn't have to make that pass. Both interceptions were chances he simply didn't have to make. And like, that's the gap, is like understanding when to be Superman and understanding when to be game manager. I know I'm old at 40 years old to where the term game manager to me is a compliment, right? I think all quarterbacks are game managers. Yeah. To a degree. It's just that, hey, our elite ones can go beyond that when necessary. And the difference between getting to a Super Bowl consistently, and crying in a press conference are those small decisions, like those small game manager decisions, to where you say, hey, it's one-on-one. It's Brandon Cooks. Like, this is not Brandon Cooks in 2015. This is Brandon Cooks however many years later. Like, again, can he make that catch? Did he almost make that catch? Absolutely. Was it a good throw? Absolutely. But there's a risk reward when you make that pass in a situation where you simply didn't have to a receiver that out of 10 of those balls, how many, against tight coverage, how many of those do you really expect him to make? Like maybe 3. So like it's a low probability play, high reward if you make it. But like Josh Allen, just there's this devil on his shoulder that's like, hey, you can make it. And sometimes he makes it, and the times he doesn't, you fall short in some of the biggest moments, and a lot of those are because of his decisions. And again, they may not lead SportsCenter, like him missing Stephon Diggs in 2023. Coming across a crosser because he wanted to take a deep shot into the end zone, which, that crosser would have given them a clear first down. It would have kept moving the chains, kept the clock going. I was scared as hell looking at Stephon Diggs, but he missed that because, again, it's that risk reward that he hasn't found the right balance for. But that's why they're going home. Like, that's the number one reason why the Bills, again, are going to fall short. is not because Josh Allen is not special. It's because Josh Allen doesn't know when to put the special away.
Yeah.
So,
very good point. Yeah. I mean,
controversial call, but like, hey, man, we ain't have to do that at all in the first place, bro.
I mean, and then, the drive where, it's 24-23, Buffalo is up before they kick the field goal to go up 27-23. They had a chance to put the game. They had a chance to put a touchdown on the board. They're right there in the red zone, and they came up with nothing. I mean, it was a lot of like very strange play calls, and wild throws to the end zone that weren't close, and so then kick the field goal. Then you had Nick's answer with the touchdown to Marvin Mims, and then even on the drive where the Bills had to get a field goal to tie it to send it to overtime. I don't know that people are going to remember this, but Josh Allen made a deep throw to I think it was Dawson Knox, one of his tight ends.
Yeah.
And he was open, but there were two defenders around him. If he makes that catch, he probably gets tackled around the 10 or 12-yard line. And I'm not sure they had a timeout left. So they maybe don't even have time to even kick the field goal. So there is like a clock management. There is a time and place. That's why what you said about game manager, I understand. I like to use the term point guard because to me, that's not offensive to anybody. Like if someone says you're a point guard, that's awesome. Like point guards are very important in basketball. So if you're the point guard of they're the quarterback of the basketball team, the quarterback is the point guard of the football team. So just be that guy. You don't have to be, the greatest player every time. You don't have to make the hero throw every time.
Sometimes you just need to make the first pass over from the wing to the corner. Exactly. Is that going to go on your all-time career highlight package? Nope. Right. Is it just as important and integral to making a shot in that situation? Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with that. I do like the term point. As a former point guard, I do like the term point guard because you have to wait. There's been so many times. I'm coming down. One of my favorite passes to make is the full court transition pass over the top.
Yeah.
So you have to literally, okay, is this the right time to make this pass? I can make this pass. I've made it a bunch of times. I've seen myself making this pass, but this isn't the right time to make that risk. And as kids, because we want to see the result of the risk, we denigrate just making sound, simple decisions and hey, maybe you set yourself up, for a more special play as we get, closer, or, it calls for, but it's those small decisions to where it's probably more 55-45. It's a close decision. It's not like he made the wrong decision in making that throw, but there's a bunch of more right decisions that he could have made that could have kept that from even happening. And it speaks to, a slight gap in him reaching his apex as a quarterback, and not just individually, but team success. The Bills would have more team success simply if Josh Allen was a slightly more smarter quarterback. There's no other way to put it. And I think he's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I think he's made a leap, pre-snap, making those decisions, and he can get into a groove to where he's reading defenses and diagnosing where the ball needs to go before he even drops back. But it's those moments, those small moments to where he panics. He gets a little bit inaccurate. He gets a little bit out, outside of his technique, seems to falter. Those small moments, and that's why they're going home.
Yeah, exactly. Final thoughts on about this game. Let's talk a little bit about Jarrett Stidham. He'll get the start with Bo Nix breaking his ankle. Bo Nix is out for the rest of the playoffs. Yeah. What do you know about Jarrett Stidham that you can tell us? I mean, he hasn't thrown a pass since 2023. I think this will be his fifth ever start. That's what I know. But is there anything else? He's played in the AFC West, so I assume you've seen him a little bit.
No, I know him from playing in the AFC East. The Patriots. He was drafted by the Patriots.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to know about Justin? I know that Sean Payton is going to really try to convince us that he is 100% confident in him, and we'll see about the play calling. That's the true teller. You can tell me that he's ready to go, yada yada. When it's 3rd and 11, Is it a 5-step drop, or are you throwing nothing but screens? So a draw. So like that'll tell us how he feels about him. No, I know nothing about. I have no scouting notes on Jared Stidham. Patriots legend Jared Stidham. Yeah, I got nothing for you on that. But this hell of a time to make your first start.
Yeah. I know he's a Texas kid. I think he's from Stephenville. So Texas high school football player, obviously. I think he was at Baylor. Then he went to Auburn. I believe that's how his college career worked out.
This is what fun fact. Jared Stidham hosted Bo Nix.
That's right. Yeah.
On his recruiting visit to Auburn.
Yeah.
That's
very interesting stuff. Yeah. Immediately people are like, okay, can he be the next like Jeff Hostetler, who came in 1990 when Phil Simms was out, led the Giants to the Super Bowl? Could he be?
Thank you for saying that instead of Frank Wright. Thank you.
Well, Frank Wright was the Bills quarterback. I mean, they made the Super Bowl, but I don't think Frank Wright played much in the game. I think Kelly
his only start that year was against the Oilers.
Oh, right. No. That wasn't a start. He came in. I think Kelly started the game, I believe.
No.
Okay.
Frank Wright started that game.
Okay.
We can confirm.
I think you're right. I just know, like, Kelly got hurt a lot in that
similar moment in my life.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember the game. I remember Frank Wright scoring the 38 points or whatever, but I couldn't remember who started the game. But I'm sure you're right about that. But also Nick Foles, the more recent example, Nick Foles, who came in with the Eagles late in 2017, led them to the Super Bowl win over the Patriots. The big difference between Hostetler and Foles compared to Stidham is the fact that those guys didn't make their first start in the playoffs. They actually played in the season and, got to kind of ramp up to the playoffs. Stidham just thrown in there against this Patriots team, which, this Patriots team is, they're not a perfect team by any stretch, but the Patriots are a 5-point favorite in Denver on Sunday at 2:00 on CBS. Who you got in the game? Who you think's going to win?
I mean, I'm taking the Patriots. I don't think they'll cover. I definitely think this will be closer than 5.5. Like I mentioned earlier, man, I think the Broncos can do enough running the ball, and I think they can dedicate themselves to running the ball in different types of ways to at least keep the Patriots that pass rush, which is getting better, but just keep them off balance. And from there, you can run the ball just a little bit. You can get into a little bit of play action. For me, it is 1998 again. Like play action is so back in vogue now, which if anybody, remembers any of my Chiefs rants, it's like, hey man, we're not in a time anymore where you just drop back, be Superman. Like you need something to keep defenses off balance. So like I can see Denver going 60-40 as far as, run pass, and we're just really putting it in the hands of like Harvey and an O-line. But as we said with the, Patriots and the Texans, I'm going to trust the quarterback who can, if everything else is equal, I'm going to trust the quarterback who can make enough plays downfield to get 3 points here, 3 points again, 7 points here. I trust that more than what I anticipate, which is a coach who doesn't really trust his backup quarterback in this big a moment. So I'm going to go with Patriots by 4.
Okay. Yeah, I think Patriots win the game. I think it might be like maybe a 7-point game. I think it might be like 20-13. This will not be a high scoring game.
No.
It might be 17-10. I'm not sure, but it'll be a close game. But I think the Patriots are going to win, just like what you said. I think Drake can make plays. He can make enough plays like against the Texans where, it'll be enough to beat the Broncos, whose offense, even with Bo Nix, is, they're not lighting it up week in and week out. So, but
I just looked it up just to confirm though.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank Reich started
the game.
34 for 289, 4 touchdowns. Oh my God! Let me get up. All right, let's move on.
Well, let's move over to the NFC, and this game we're not going to talk much about it, I don't think, because there's much to say. The Seahawks and 49ers met on Saturday night, and I was watching this game, and the opening kickoff, Rashid Shaheed returned it 95 yards for a touchdown. And I said out loud, I go, this game is over.
Done.
And I was right because that was 7-0 Seattle. Seattle went on to win 41-6. San Francisco just completely could do nothing against the Seahawks defense. And the Seahawks offense, I mean, Kenneth Walker had a monster game, but Sam Darnold didn't have to do anything. And it was about as easy a playoff win as you can remember. What are your thoughts on this one?
At what 20 something to 6, I turned the PlayStation on. It's like there's nothing else they couldn't move the ball, they couldn't run it, they couldn't throw it, they couldn't stop the run. And Seattle's not even a really great running team. They could do nothing against them on either side of the ball.
Yeah. One
thing I do want to talk about, because I was like, man, what am I going to talk about on this podcast? Because there's nothing to talk about. Like, that was a domination. Yeah. I walked away from that game more impressed by Brock Purdy. I just thought, like, hey, as a quarterback, we talk about point guards, right? As a point guard / quarterback, you need to look at your teammates and look at what's happening in the game in front of you and say, okay, this is what I need to take more shots. You know, like one of the biggest criticisms of two of the greatest point guards we've ever seen, Steve Nash and Chris Paul. Two of the few weaknesses that they had in their game is not that they couldn't score, but they just didn't understand the willingness. Like, hey, I need to take – this is a game where I need 25 shots. Yeah. You know, this is just a game where when I come off that pick, I need to shoot. I need to look at the basket and not just probe. And this is not that game. You know, like CJ Stroud should have been able to look at that game and say, this is not a CJ Stroud game, right? We need to work in some runs, yada, yada. I think Brock Purdy looked at that really quickly, especially after the kickoff return. Yeah. Because I said the same thing. I said, this game might be over. That might be enough because that defense is also A+. And statistically number one. But I think Brock Purdy looked at that. No, first of all, knowing the defense he was going up against, knowing he was on the road, everything, the injuries, weapons being out. I think he looked at it and said, I need to make something happen. You know, with my legs, I need to extend plays. Like, that needs to be priority number one, and not just drop back. Okay, the pocket's collapsed and let me get out of here and make something happen. I think he went in there knowing I have to make something happen off top. The issue is he's Brock Purdy, you know, and there's just a ceiling on like his talent and what he can do once he does that. Right. But I absolutely appreciate and respect him looking at that, diagnosing that more was needed from him, even if he couldn't like technically provide it. If I'm Kyle Shanahan, I walk away from that like feeling much more confident in him. You know, again, there are heights as a quarterback that he's never going to reach. Yeah. But what he can bring to you when everything else is at least going well, like, you know, there's at least decent enough weapons. I think his floor is wild card round every year, you know, unless something catastrophic happened, like it's happened this year with injuries. Yeah. Brock Purdy can get you to the wild card round essentially every year with good coaching, good weapons. And that was my biggest takeaway from it, because like I said, like there's nothing to talk about from the Seattle side as far as passing. They could just run the ball every single time and get whatever they wanted. Defensively, man, they were playing that game on rookie mode. Like, the 49ers had nothing for it. So, yeah, that was my biggest takeaway, man. Brock, shout out to Brock, man. Like, hey, I'm not going to go out like a sucker. I think that's what he says. Like, hey, I ain't going out like that. You know, we can get our ass beat, but I'm at least try something. So, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah, and at least he didn't get hurt, you know, because McCaffrey finally got hurt in this game. Their other tight end, Jake Tonjes, he suffered an injury. He might be out for next season. So this team, they've had like just an incredible stretch of injuries the last few years. And if they can ever get healthy.
McCaffrey went to the Warriors game and infected Jimmy Butler, man.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler torn ACL last night, unfortunately, in his season. Man. Yeah, the ACL things are just, man, they keep popping up for all these sports. But yeah, not much to say about this game. Let's move on to the Bears and Rams game. That was that game. The Rams got the win on the road, 20-17 in a snowy Chicago. Great setting, by the way. NBC had the coverage. I think they had the best coverage. I think the
Agreed.
jerseys were popping. It looked
Agreed.
great on TV. Then you had Caleb Williams make maybe the greatest 14-yard touchdown pass ever. I know Mike Tirico pointed that out, and it's because he had to backpedal on a 4th down. He threw it from the 45-yard line. I threw a bomb into the corner to Cole Kmet to tie the game. Just an incredible play. They end up losing, but to me, I came away so impressed with Caleb Williams and thinking man, this guy, I don't know that anybody's saying he's the best quarterback right now. No one should,
No.
but man, he's got the most talent, I think. And I think that if he can ever put it all together, that Bears team is going to be good.
As far as raw talent,
Yeah.
I think he's either the second or third most talented quarterback in the league. I think if you put everything together as far as talent, he's probably around 4 or 5, but just raw, hey, the ball pops out of it. The ball spins and it comes out of his hand. He has a cannon. I joked in our group chat. I'm like, hey man, if this was Madden, I would tell him hold the button less. It's you don't have to hold it all the way down. That thing is a green dot, you know what I'm saying? When he throws it, obviously he has the running ability and just the competitiveness. What I love most about Caleb Williams, what I've always loved most about Caleb Williams is the audacity. With a lot of our great quarterbacks, the aliens, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Caleb now, hell, even Drake May with a lot of his throws. It's just the audacity. It's hey, I'm going to the sideline to my left, but I can contort my body and accurately throw it over the linebacker 25 yards down the field. A lot of quarterbacks won't even think to make that. It's like Steph Curry with his shots.
Yeah,
most people won't even think to take those shots. And he biggest moments. He had the presence of mind to know I need to get so much more depth because these two guys are closing in on me to a point where I can turn around and then backpedal off a back foot and throw it 46 yards down the field into the end zone. Just seeing and recognizing, hey, Cole Kmet has one-on-one against a 5'9", DB. That's some alien stuff. He has the talent to one day be the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Again, the gap for him is the stuff between the ears, some of the Josh Allen stuff. Hey, this isn't the time for special. This is a time for boring. Yeah. This is a play, this situation for boring. But man, I screamed. I was right next to my wife. We were in the bed and I saw him running backwards and I was like, uh-oh. And then he turned around and just launched it. And it's been a while since you see a ball just go slow motion.
Yeah.
And I was how the hell did he get open like that? That's one of the best throws I've ever seen in my entire life. Isn't it? Considering the moment and everything. And totally agree about just the NBC broadcast, the Tirico call, everything about it was perfect. Collinsworth afterwards with his commentary, that was just a perfect NFL moment. This is why we have NFL films. Yeah. For stuff like that. And that was amazing. I don't think the game itself was great, but for a playoff game in Chicago with the weather, I thought it was one, just superbly entertaining.
Yeah.
And two, about as entertaining a game, about as good a game as you're going to get considering the circumstances, right? The Rams offense sleptwalked through most of that game until they just decided to turn it on late. And then Matt Stafford threw one of the best passes I've seen to Devontae Adams on the sideline. He essentially threw a curveball to the opposite side, opposite hash. That was wild. Those are two, again, alien level talented quarterbacks that we see. And we see one that's kind of late in his career stamping himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And we see Caleb taking the first steps to superstardom. And that the outcome of that, honestly, didn't even matter. I don't even, regardless of who you're rooting for, we saw great quarterback talent. Again, Stafford's a guy who's kind of on his way out. You know, he was about to retire for this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, Caleb Williams at the beginning of this year, there were talks about him possibly being a bust, you know, and from where he started, for both of them, where they started, Matt Stafford on the verge of an MVP, possible Super Bowl appearance, Caleb Williams, you know, not in top 5 talks, really shouldn't be anywhere close to it right now, but he's on a trajectory of getting there. He can make that leap next year, and nobody would be surprised. So, yeah, in that sense, man, classic. I would say classic game.
Yeah. No, I think your analysis is well done because it's like it was a veteran quarterback against an up and coming quarterback, and it's how it usually goes. Like the veteran they did just enough to get the win. It was a very veteran win by the Rams, but to me, like I said, I was so impressed with the Bears and with Caleb, and he's not top 5 overall, but for escapability, he's number 1. For excitement, he's number 1. Like this guy, I mean, there's nothing he can't do with the football. Now, there's some stuff that he can't do well, right? Like, but like as far as like he can throw the ball from any angle, from any way, I mean, it's just man, that thing.
He is exciting in a way that I'm glad Patrick Mahomes is not anymore. Because as exciting as there has never been a football player in the history of football, with the exception of maybe like Michael Vick for a 1 or 2 year span, that has raised my heart rate up, you know, as far as excitement than Patrick Mahomes. That's also, you don't want to live like that either. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to win like Super Bowls and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, he is exciting in a way that I don't need my favorite quarterback to be. Please no. Please give me more boring. But once he gets more boring in his game, like man, like the Chicago Bears, the franchise, the fan base. As somebody, I was born in 1985. We know what happened in 1985 in Chicago, you know, in 2 sports, essentially.
Yeah.
And my entire life has gone with the understanding that the Chicago Bears are just never going to have a good quarterback. They're never going to have a great quarterback. And this is, again, one of the most iconic franchises in sports history. Like, as far as like the history, been around over 100 years, like they're an American staple, you know, and for them to not have, you know, from Jim McMahon on, like even Jim McMahon was not a franchise quarterback. He was a very good starting quarterback. Yeah. So like, you know, I feel we talked about this with like Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns. I remember asking Frank this when we were coming back from Denver. It's like, how does a franchise like that just continuously make bad decisions? You know, and we ultimately, the theory that I have is like bad decisions beget bad decisions. So like when you think about Chicago Bears and their quarterback situation, like you have a decent quarterback in Jim McMahon. He leaves. So you naturally you try to recreate that with the next quarterback. You don't do that. It just leads to more bad decisions, and it gets us to 2024, where you have to make this huge trade to get the number 1 pick. Caleb Williams is a guy that you wait for. Like that, I say all that to say his is a talent that you wait for. It's like, you know what, man, I've waited through all that shit, that pig shit. Here I am, like with a potentially like I don't think he's a generational quarterback overall right now, but he is a generational talent by far. And everything about that game. I mean, even the interception at the end, like, it didn't even really bother me because I attribute a lot of that to DJ Moore and his route running. But like, hey man, he's not afraid to make those passes. Like I have more confidence in him weeding that out of his game than learning how to be spectacular. So
yeah,
classic game, man. A lot of classic storylines that you can take from that. The vet and the young guy both, I think, are super impressed by each other.
Yeah, exactly. And just to contrast, like think about last year when the Texans beat the Bears. I think it was a Monday Night Football game. Maybe it was a Sunday Night Football game. Yeah. Monday night. After the game, CJ Stroud on camera trying to big brother Caleb Williams. Caleb, I mean, in the moment, he's like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like you could just tell he's like, yeah, man, come on, man. Like the cameras are here. Like it's like he's thinking, like, I'm better than you. Like I don't need this. we're the same age, man. Like we don't need to do this. Like,
it's
then
very,
now,
very, hip hop reference, but like this is J. Cole saying, "Hey, we're the big three, me, Drake, and Kendrick like, actually, I think you're way beneath me." I think I've heard Caleb Williams actually say this, but like he definitely thinks he's better than CJ Stroud. I don't think he thinks it's close. No. So please don't big brother me when I'm better than you.
that moment just ages worse and worse every as the world keeps spinning forward. Like it's like, man, CJ, like what were you doing, man? Like
first things first, called it the talk that led to the losing or something like that.
Yeah, it did not help him as we've seen the trajectory of those two careers go in opposite ways. Finally with the game, so now we have the NFC title game coming up on Sunday, 5:30 on Fox. Rams at Seahawks. Third time these teams have played. They're both NFC West rivals. Who do you got in the game?
I have the Rams. They've been my Super Bowl pick all year from the NFC. It's a little crazy because I still kind of think Seattle's a better team, but I feel like the Rams have more variables that I can depend on, namely the quarterback, having that second receiver to take pressure, like having Devontae Adams to take pressure off Puka, having Puka to take pressure off of Devontae. Tight end situation, I just feel like the Rams have more things that I can depend on. The run game, Kyron Williams having that just to depend on. It's going to be hard. I definitely think this is going to be a lower score. One is the playoffs. They'll be on, that Seattle. Seattle seems like a very tough place to play.
Yeah,
it feels like it sounded, that kickoff return.
Oh yeah,
was loud. It's like that was loud. I think it's going to be a close game, but we one of the themes of tonight's episode is that, hey, great defense, that's beautiful. Can your offense score? Because eventually that other offense that's really good and has an MVP level quarterback, they're gonna score some points. Something's going to happen to where they put some points, and if you can't match that, depending on that defense, is just not enough in today's game. So that I think the Rams win by 6. Yeah, something like that. Now, a variable that needs to get thrown in there, a wild card. What if Sam Darnold has the game of his life?
Yeah.
Right. And by the game of his life for the conference championship game, it could be like 270 and 2 to 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. That could be the game of his life for that moment. If he reaches whatever his apex is for where Sam Darnold is, if Sam Darnold plays a good to really good game, Seattle's going to win. Yeah. They're going to win and maybe win going away. That defense is that good. But that's just that's a variable that is a little bit too wild for my blood. So I'm taking the Rams by 6.
Yeah, I think it's well said by you. I think that with Stafford, we know we can do it. With Darnold, we don't know. We've never seen him do it. And so that's the difference in the game.
Matt Stafford is quietly a great playoff quarterback since he's been in LA.
Yeah.
Like great. Like a 110 passer rating on average. I think he's won 6 games in the playoffs since he's been in LA. So it's proven.
Yeah, but I do agree. I think it will be a lower scoring game. I think it's going to be like 27-21, maybe 24-20 Rams. But we'll find out. I mean, it's a weird weekend because I'm not really excited about either game, but I think they're going to be good games. And I'm not really excited about the potential Super Bowl matchups. None of them because a lot of them are ones we've seen recently. We've seen
Rams, Patriots.
Yeah, we've seen Patriots and Seahawks. We've seen this before. Now, not with these current teams, obviously.
Yeah.
But nothing. It just doesn't excite me. I mean, I'm sure. I'm gonna watch Super Bowl. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna watch it. But I'm not super locked into to find out who these two teams are. But I do think
Rams Seahawks gets my blood going. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
It just the atmosphere. Seattle's a great place to watch a game from on the television set. I I think Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. Like just at baseline, he's a good quarterback, and I think Matt Stafford's a great one. For me, for some reason I've been a little invested in. Like I want Matt Stafford to win a Super Bowl. I have no idea why. I don't think I've ever been like this huge Matt Stafford fan.
Well, he has one.
Yeah,
he's got one.
No, I want him to get another one. I want him
one.
I want him to like ascend. Like I've enjoyed watching him since he's been in LA.
Yeah.
I thought he was talented in Detroit, but ultimately underachieved for a lot of the reasons I talked about Josh Allen. Definitely, we all know, even though he was a number one pick, I definitely thought he underachieved at Georgia. But I don't know, man. I like Matt Stafford now. So like I want him to get 2 Super Bowls, an MVP, and however long he plays after that. Like I like seeing him like ascend into like that elite, top 15, top, quarterback of all time, first ballot Hall of Famer. That's been fun to watch because I think he's been really good, really fun to watch as a Ram. Picture perfect as far as like what you want in the leader quarterback. Like that stuff matters to me now. Like I'm an old man now. So yeah, I'm excited to see Rams, Seahawks, Patriots, Broncos. That might get iPad action, but I want to see what does Drake May look like in that situation on the road, conference championship. Can he ascend to be a like what we define as like a definitive top 5 quarterback, right? What he does these last potentially 2 games of the season will go a long way in improving that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both these games, like I said, these should be very close games. These should be very entertaining games, and we'll find out who will be the Super Bowl 60 matchup on Sunday. Final stuff with the NFL. Let's talk about some coaching moves. We already talked about McDermott being fired. There are a couple moves that happened in the last couple days. Want to get your thoughts on if any of this stuff really does anything for you. You got John Harbaugh landed with the Giants. He gets 5 years, $100 million reportedly. You got the Falcons hiring Kevin Stefanski, the former Browns coach, going to Atlanta. The Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley, who is the Packers defensive coordinator and the former Boston College head coach who left his job at BC to take the defensive coordinator job in Green Bay like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then finally you have Robert Saleh being hired by the Titans, the former Niners defensive coordinator and Jets head coach going to Tennessee. Of these moves, does any of them what do you think of them so far? Is it kind of just like retread city except for Hafley, or what do you think?
Hackley, I got nothing for you. I think he's done good things with that defense.
Yeah.
We'll see. When with DCs, with coordinators who've never coached before, for me, I'm like, okay, who is going to be your coordinators? Are you going to be a play caller, or are you going to be more CEO kind? CEO kind is what I think Harbaugh is going to be for the New York. So again, who's your OC? What is your philosophy and plan for Jackson Dart? How do you corral him into, again, turning down what he thinks is special? I would call future CTE. How do you get him to like play on schedule? Preserve him. How do you get him to be like the leader of your squad and not just exciting young quarterback, which he was this year? So I think it's a good hire because John Harbaugh, he brings a level of like credibility, seriousness that the New York Giants franchise simply has not had in almost 15 years. With Saleh, we know why his Jets tenure went so bad, like bad OC, he was, obviously focused on the defensive side. Who's going to be your OC? How are you going to ensure that you are maximizing Cam Ward? Because a lot of the numbers won't say it, but like I thought Cam Ward did a lot of special things, despite the fact that everything around him was burning down.
He had no talent around him.
Zero talent.
Yeah.
A bunch of listen, I'm not NFL expert guy as far as like, hey, this 4th round pick here, this 4th string guy here. But like, man, I didn't know none of those dudes he was throwing to for the most part. And that's I should at least know one or two guys, man. I watch enough college football and NFL that I should know at least one or two guys. I didn't know none of them dudes. And he was able to look around like within a few weeks and like, man, this shit is ass, bro. Like, what the hell is going on? So, how do you maximize Cam Ward? What's your plan there? Never seen Robert Saleh, provide development for a quarterback. So, who you hire as your OC, your quarterback coach, all these guys, all that goes a long way into like, will you be successful? Because if Cam Ward is not successful, Robert Saleh is going to have a short tenure there as well.
Yeah.
Stefanski is just funny to me. I think it's a really good hire by the Atlanta Falcons. This is a 2-time coach of the year. He's gotten the Cleveland Browns. We have to remember, these are the Cleveland Browns, bro. They are the laughing stock of our lifetime, and he's gotten them to the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
He's done a good job with some quarterbacks there. It's funny to me because this is one of those cultural things that a lot of people outside of football just wouldn't understand. But like a lot of black people are like very upset with Kevin Stefanski, like because of like the Shadur thing.
Shadur
like
Sanders,
I think it's completely overblown. But like there's a lot of black people who are not. I've been on Twitter and I've seen Falcons Twitter, and they are not happy about Kevin Stefanski for reasons that have nothing to do with like his ability to actually coach. So it's just funny. But I think that's a good hire. I think it's a good hire because of who it bringing in. I don't think it's the greatest job because who's your quarterback?
Yeah,
Michael Penix should be gone for the entire year. He has a body that is probably 10 years older than his age. Cousins is there, but Cousins is trying his best to like get released. So like, who's your quarterback there? What are you going to do on that front? So, man, Stefanski from one horrible quarterback situation to the next, but at least he has the bones of like I think is a really good team there outside of the quarterback position. That's just the most important part. But you got Bijan, you got some good weapons, you have a young and improved defense. If they can figure the quarterback situation out, they could be cooking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all these hires, I mean, again, I don't know a ton about Jeff Hafley besides, he was with Green Bay and who knows about that one. But to me, the Saleh one was the one I'm like, really, I'm not really sure that's a great move because, Saleh made his name in San Francisco the first time and his defense was phenomenal. This year, now granted, it's the 49ers, so everybody's hurt. They have a ton of injuries on defense. Their defense was not that good. I mean, case in point, did you watch the Seahawks game, which we didn't talk about a ton because they ran all over them. I mean, like, I'm not really sure why the Titans were so quick to snap him up, considering his past with the Jets and the fact that this year the Niners defense like wasn't great. So like that to me, that's a curious like decision. But maybe he's great in the room with the owners and the GM guy, and they're super impressed by him. That must be it because like what he's done on his resume the last 3 or 4 years to me has not been impressive.
And also the Titans have been dysfunctional. They've gone through how many GMs, they let go of Vrabel. How's that working out? It doesn't look good for Robert Saleh that it didn't feel like a good fit, from the jump. And two, they made that decision like really quickly. The Titans are just not a credible franchise right now. So like it looks bad for all parties involved. But again, offensively, because I think he'll improve the defense. So, they got to draft better. If they can get some guys in there, ultimately, if you don't have a ton of options, you have to take one of these jobs.
Yeah.
And the two, like, you got to have a good infrastructure. Like, who's drafting for you? But if they get some guys in there, I think he can coach the defense up. But like, ultimately, his success is going to ride on the offense.
Yeah. I mean, the one good thing about his division is it's not like, I wouldn't say it's winnable, but it's like you can make traction in that division.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville won the division this season. The Texans usually are kind of around the top, but last year the Colts, they came out like gangbusters and then fell apart when Daniel Jones got hurt. So I mean, it's a more competitive division than it used to be, but it's definitely a division where you can turn it around quicker than you could say in like the NFC West or the NFC North. I think those are two. If you take the worst job in those divisions, you're going to have a little bit like if you take the Cardinals job, like it's probably going to
Raiders.
be it's going to be a little while before you're beating the 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams consistently. So we'll see what happens with Saleh and all these other hires. I think the Harbaugh move, like you're right, he brings stability to that team, and kind of like I feel like the Giants need a big name coach or at least some kind of like presence. And obviously he had a tremendous run in Baltimore, and maybe it was time for him to go somewhere else.
And they're breaking the bank for his assistants in a way they wouldn't do for Dayball. So
right,
it's a good start at least.
Yeah. And to me, like the big job remaining. I mean, obviously there's a few of them out there, but like that Bills job has got to be pretty enticing for some coaches because of Josh Allen. Like if you're the guy who can like come in and finally get the Bills over the hump, that's to me that's probably the one that these guys are gunning for. I don't know who's the favorite. I would think that the Dayball maybe would consider that, although I heard maybe he was going to take the Eagles OC job. So
Brian Dayball should not be a head coach for a while.
Yeah,
he just should not.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see who gets that Buffalo job, because that should be a one that hey, like you take that job, the expectations are to win. Like it's kind of Super Bowl or bust with that job. So that should be like I think there was some thought that maybe Harbaugh, had he known about the Buffalo job coming open, maybe he wouldn't have accepted the Giants offer.
I agree.
Yeah. But, I don't know. It's to me when it's these same guys that we've seen with other, like, Stefanski, Harbaugh, these are guys, Saleh was fired recently, a couple years ago. So it's like when it's these retreads and like when it's an immediate retread, you're kind of like, we'll see. Maybe a change of scenery is all they need. Maybe, get better people in the personnel department can help them turn it around. But it just seems like, to me, it's not exciting. It's not exciting when it's like, hey, this guy was just fired by this other team. That's our guy. Let's go get him. Like
right.
If Kyle Shanahan were fired today, I'm sure a lot of teams would want him, and I understand that because I think he can turn teams around quickly. But a lot of the other guys, I'm not sure if they have that ability. But we shall see with these moves.
Ben Johnson's making it tough. Ben Johnson's in the world making it really tough for a lot of these new hires because it's proof of concept. We can see it.
Right.
Can you turn this around in 1 or 2 years? And by turning around means like playoff run, at least win one playoff game. Like I think that's going to be a mandate for a lot of these new coaches.
Yeah. Tough to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of playoff, let's talk about the college football playoff national championship game. Indiana did it. Perfect season. They go 16-0. They get the win over Miami, 27-21 in Miami. This game, I mean, honestly, this is a remarkable story because you have Indiana, the losingest football team in Division I, and now they have a perfect season. Now they're on top of the college football world. Truly remarkable stuff. What are your thoughts on, Mendoza leading the team, Cignetti, what he's done, his proof of concept, which is just completely like changed, like I said, the worst team in college football to now they're the best team in the nation.
Well, shout out to Antoine Randall for no reason at all. This is actually, I had a high school teammate who played football at Indiana. Like 2001. I don't remember his name. Damn. I don't think he lasted long there. Let's just say that.
I think I lost you. I think we got a problem here. Maybe it's me. Are you live? Can you hear me?
I'm live.
Okay, I got you too.
You got me?
Yeah, I think one of us froze or something, but yeah, go ahead.
No, Mendoza, like he listened to this podcast. Like that entire game was just him point guarding.
Yeah.
Miami obviously was taking away deep plays. It's like, fine, like we'll run it, we'll 3, 4 yards, 7 yards at a time, 8 yards at a pop. And once the dam finally broke, man, he was special. And it didn't have to be from the air. Like he he went and made a legendary Heisman national championship lore type of play to get that touchdown, and that's really all they needed because their defense was like bitch smacking Miami. Like Miami had nothing for that Indiana defense. It was looking like a chore to get one first down, right? Like the Indiana defense was just that dominant. And we talked about it last week. This game was going to be played in the trenches. Like who's going to win up front? I thought early on, actually, Miami impressed me because they were getting off some good runs. They were, stopping Indiana's run game. They looked like, okay, we can compete, and then eventually that ended, but they were able to keep pace with them. Indiana would look like they were about to break it open. Miami would come down running the ball, and getting big chunk yards, getting touchdowns. They just ultimately this came down to Indiana could depend on getting stops. They could depend on getting the ball downfield to score if they needed to. Like they could open it up in certain ways. Mendoza was money as hell on those back shoulders on the sidelines. Like he showed me at the very least. I don't know how special he can be, but I know he's got the point guard part down. He's got the, hey, man, this is not a Fernando Mendoza game, man. Like I'm not going to air this out. This is not a 4 touchdown 5. This is not Joe Burrow in 2019 type of game. Like this is I need to be good enough in the margins. I need to make the plays that I need to make, right? And if I can extend something to be a little bit more special, I'll do that. But like he's a very mature guy, which is funny to say because he acts like an 8-year-old, like with autism. But like he's a very mature quarterback. Yeah. And just understanding this is what's needed right now. Let me do that, and I'll worry about the other stuff later. I thought he was special in that sense. Because I really honestly don't know much about the rest of those dudes on that team, but like I know that they all play together. They play better than some of their parts. Yeah. I know that they're hilariously well coached. Yeah. Right? They just don't. It's been a while since I've seen a team, which makes sense because this is a team of like 22, 23-year-olds. They don't beat themselves.
Yeah, they don't make mistakes
at all.
Yeah.
Like they low penalties. They don't bust cover. Like there's no busted coverages there. Like they're not making those type of mistakes. So you just have to beat them. You have to beat them one-on-one. You have to beat them in tight windows. And Miami just didn't have. I think they have the talent in a lot of areas. Running back, linebacker,
receiver.
receiver.
Malachi Tony. Yeah, that kid's awesome.
The issue is that Carson Beck's your quarterback. Did you know? Carson Beck has lost 6 games in college. 4 of them have ended on a Carson Beck interception.
I believe it. Yeah.
4 of them. That's 83%. It's like yikes, man. So ultimately, again, in a game like that where there's just not a lot of explosive plays we make, like it's gonna come down to the margins. Yeah. And at the end of the day, Carson Beck not recognizing cover 2 and that there was not a flat route option to occupy that corner, he should have went somewhere else with the ball. Because college quarterbacks, even one who's been in college for fucking ever, did not recognize, hey, I need to make an adjustment. He just saw, hey, cover 2, the ball needs to go there. Not knowing, hey, an adjustment, a quarterback who might play on Sundays actually made that adjustment. You need to make that adjustment. And ultimately that cost them that was the first play of the drive. That was on first down. Mm-hmm. First down. You did not have to make that throw, period. And you obviously weren't reading, that coverage, reading the play as well as you could. But like ultimately that was the difference. It was it's mental stuff. And Indiana had all the mental stuff, and Miami, particularly the quarterback, just didn't.
Yeah, Miami or Indiana, they just didn't make mistakes, and they had like all the right plays at the right time. Like the block punt for a touchdown, that was huge. I mean, the game had kind of swung back to where it seemed like Miami had a chance. block punt puts Indiana up by 10 again, and then the Mendoza touchdown, the touchdown run, 4th and 5, quarterback draw. He gets the first down, then it's like pinballed around, then dives into the end zone. That was like his probably like that's like his signature play for his career at Indiana.
Forever.
Yeah. But that was like an all-time moment. And you look at his numbers, they weren't that impressive, but you're right. He makes the right throws at the right time. And like he just solid player. I agree with you as far as in the NFL. Like, I'm not sure if he's special. Like, there was a big deal made the fact that Tom Brady and the Raiders, they were there at the game, scouting him, and I don't know how well he's going to do it next year if he gets taken number 1 overall. I don't know that anybody can do well with that Raiders team. Like that's not the first year. I don't think it's going to take a little bit of time. But as far as a college football quarterback, he was an excellent college football quarterback, and he kind of put the exclamation point on the season with that touchdown run. And then Indiana also, like, their secondary doesn't get a lot of pub, but their secondary is really good. I mean, they might have a couple. Yeah, they might have a couple of guys that are playing the NFL from that secondary. So
yeah, Pons is really good. Pons should be playing next year on Sundays.
Yeah. So don't look now, but were you going to say something else?
No, I mean, also just to put a bow on it. I've been watching college football since like at this point 26 years, and I've never had a reason to care about Indiana football. And the system wasn't set up for us to care about Indiana football. So I tip my cap to Signetti, who, I mean, he came into this like, hey, bro, Google me, I win, and winning got more wins in a single season than literally anybody in the history of college football at Indiana. But you could see it all year. Like, everything that we said about them in that game was crystallized all year. Like, they've been in tough environments. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. Like, when they won these games on the road, and where they had to like drive down the field and make the necessary plays at the necessary time, and they did it, and stuff like that hardens you. And having a coach like Signetti who just kind of stays the course. Like, he seems like a hard ass, but he seems like very smart about this football stuff, and clearly he's a teacher. Like, he just gives off teacher vibes. And that's shown in the way that they don't make those mistakes. So, like, they deserve it, man. Like, this is one of the most, like, the biggest Cinderella stories college football. Indiana football is not supposed to be good.
No,
it's not the way systemically, like, they are not supposed to be good. From like location to the conferences, money, all these things, and they decided they were going to be good, and they went and did it. And shout out to them.
That for me, this puts pressure on the other traditional basketball schools. Now it's on you. I'm looking at Duke. I'm looking at Kansas, Kentucky, UCLA,
Michigan State.
Michigan.
Why is Michigan State not good?
But I mean, yeah, you're right. That's also a basketball school. But to me, like, Indiana's one of those schools when, like 20 years ago, well, not 20 years, like 30 years ago, if you asked me, does Indiana have a college football team? I'd say, I don't think they do, because like UConn didn't used to have college football, right? And like, I think even Duke, it wasn't until like maybe like 20 years ago, or maybe Duke's had one for a while, but like, there's some of those schools that only play basketball. Like Gonzaga doesn't have a football team, right? If Gonzaga football in 2035 wins the college football playoff, you're like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And that's kind of what Indiana has done, except for obviously they played football for 100 years, but they were one of the worst teams. They were literally the worst team in college football. And for them to turn around with this like one of a kind kind of coach, with this, incredible quarterback story where the guy was, he wanted to go to Miami. He's a Miami kid. He ends up going to Indiana. He faces the team he wanted to play in Miami for the national title. This is like a Disney movie or something that like played out in front of us. And you're right. It was a total Cinderella story. And, don't look now, but the Big Ten has now won 3 straight national titles. Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. I mean, is it time to say that like the SEC's run it's pretty much over, right? Like, now it's college football is more wide open than it was 10 years ago.
There's quiet as kept. There's a ton of money in the Big Ten, right? Obviously, Ohio State, Michigan has one of the largest endowments in the country. I did not know Indiana was loaded the way Indiana is loaded as far as like an alumni base. Like obviously, like there's Mark Cuban who's put a lot of money towards NIL, but like no, they have a large base of like really, really, really rich donors who have made the decision that they want Indiana football to be good. Like, and that's the first step. Is like there's a reason Texas fell behind Oklahoma for so long, because Oklahoma said we're going to be good regardless. We're going to cut out all racism. Like you will find no stories of racism, very few stories of racism on our campus. Fuck that song. Fight whatever. All these things. Like Oklahoma wants to be good, so they're going to be good. Indiana decided they're going to be good, and they've done everything possible. Like they're going to back the Brinks truck up on Signetti. I don't think he even wants to leave, but like anytime his name comes up, extension. Like he's a guy you keep forever, because Indiana's not gonna like win multiple national championships. I don't think.
They might. You never know.
Past them.
Yeah.
But like, just if I'm gonna take the field over them winning.
Yeah.
At least within the next 2-3 years, whatever. But like they're gonna be in the mix, which kind of lends credence. Maybe they could, but like because they're gonna continue to be in the mix. But yeah, man, they got something special there, and this is not something that was supposed to happen. But like they made the decision that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think his record now this year, his record with Indiana is like 27-2 or something. Like so, he got him in the playoff the first year, went undefeated the next year. That's a pretty good run.
That's a great run.
Unbelievable stuff. It just shows you how college football how it's changed now that you can pay the players and it's like kind of above board, and now everyone's kind of doing it. It's not just maybe certain schools in the South or whatever, it's everybody. We're seeing kind of leveling of the playing field, and I know, like for me, just as a fan watching football, I enjoyed watching college football more this season than I have in several years, because it seemed like it was more on the field. It seemed like it was more competitive. Like it seemed like week in and week out, there were some games that were entertaining. Whereas like, that's one of my biggest gripes about college football is you have so many, like, you have a couple of awesome weekends where it's like, you have these major matchups, and then you have about 3 or 4 weeks where it's just Texas versus a directional school. And, it's like these big schools just crushing these small schools, and you don't really have that many matchups. But now, because of these massive conferences and these teams kind of having to play each other week in and week out, it has produced almost kind of like an NFL junior kind of feel to me. To me, Saturdays feel a little bit different than they used to.
Even amongst like, I wouldn't say like Texas versus Florida.
Yeah.
On paper, that's a game Texas should have won by 4 scores. They ended up losing that game. You see just enough of a smaller gap in talent. Like to where any given Saturday, like we're getting kind of closer to like the any given Saturday. Yeah. Anybody can beat anybody. Outside, obviously, if big school and your super small conference schools, non-power 4 school. But even with like Vanderbilt, like before Vanderbilt got really good, like in the last couple of years, Vanderbilt was a team that could take you down. Like we're seeing more of those this year. So I agree. I think another thing is the quality of the play was a little bit better in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
More players are older. It's just like they're staying in school 4 or 5 years, 6 years. So like the quality of the play, I think, has picked up a little bit. I agree. I think this college football season has been more entertaining. I'm a little bit jaded and just cynical because of where overall the sport has gone, as far as just like a lack of consistency in rosters and coaches and stuff like that. Some of that stuff I'm still not fully through, but I agree. Like the games have just been, I think, more fun this year.
Yeah, and I think that the transfer portal, while obviously, there's all kinds of crazy things that happen in that portal that we don't know about, it does kind of seem like free agency that you can kind of follow. I mean, you just brought up Florida, for example. Their quarterback, a very highly recruited kid, DJ Lagway, he signed with Baylor a couple of days ago. And it's like, think about how crazy that is. Like you have a starting quarterback at the University of Florida who's now transferring to Baylor. Like, when would that ever have happened in the history of college football? Never until this year.
It, it
And
was unfathomable.
yeah,
Like,
and this kid's legitimately a talent. I mean, he's a good player. So
yeah,
like this, I just think it's added an excitement level that it wasn't there for me. And now it's like, like these massive schools that can just like, stack up these recruiting classes and just dominate. There's something to be said for that. Like like a USC from 20 something years ago, or like Alabama from the last 10, 15 years ago. But like now that it's more like, yeah, you're still going to have the big schools that recruit well and that are able to draw talent. But when you can have a team like Indiana go out and get somebody, or have like a Baylor go sign some quarterback that maybe can for 1 year make them, a hot shot team, or like I think it's added a level of excitement that personally has me a little bit more invested than maybe I was 5 years ago.
yeah. And DJ Lagway, Texas kid, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Son of a legend, Texas legend.
Mhm.
So yeah, but even that still, like, nobody's going from Florida to Baylor. Like, that's just a new thing. We're seeing some things. We're seeing some sentences that we've never spoken in our lifetime. With this college football, this transfer portal. It's exciting in a lot of ways. It's fun to talk about. Again, I do miss the days of like knowing where a guy's going to be and play, and seeing that story kind of play out. Like, that makes the outcome. You're like, just think if we would have seen Fernando Mendoza try to break through into Indiana for 4 years, and then like senior year before he goes off in the NFL, Heisman, whatever, that would make. And again, the story by itself is really good, but that would have skyrocketed. Like, hell, like there's a reason Caitlin Clark is so, like, her popularity before she left was so, astronomical, is because there was a story for you to follow, right? A narrative. But we don't, that part is done. Like, now it's about the sport, which I don't have a problem with. So, but ultimately, I think this was a really good college football season, like a very good college football season. A ton to talk about, ton of controversy and stuff like that. But overall, I think the play was better, and I can't complain about that.
Yeah. Yeah, great college season. Looking forward to next season. We'll talk about that next year, of course. But next week, of course, we'll be talking about the AFC and NFC title games as we roll on to Super Bowl 60, which is a few weeks away. So there's still some football left. We still got 3 games left to talk about. So we'll be doing that over the next few weeks. Tristan, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Stop prematurely saying Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL, man. It offends me and my sensibilities. There's not a professional sport where you can be crowned the best player in said sport when you fail to reach the heights of said sport. And the reason is because you keep losing to actual best player in said sport. I've never seen this happen. Let's stop this. Let's be better this week.
It is an interesting kind of deal. Why it's like, but I do think it's a symptom of the fact that we're always like thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
Even
True.
people in the media, people get bored real fast. I mean, long time ago, but 1993 NBA season, Charles Barkley goes to Phoenix. They have the best record in the league. He's the MVP, right? And it's like Michael Jordan, still the best player in the world. It's like they were bored with this. People in the media were bored with the story of like, oh, you can't just give it to Jordan every year, even though he's the best player. Let's give it to somebody else. So that's been going on forever. But I understand like the Josh Allen stuff. It's like, because originally when he came in the league, we weren't sure if he was going to be that good. Like there was a lot of like, hey, I'm not sure this guy's a quarterback, but this guy might be better at tight end or something.
Jawan Allen, he'd be a tight
end. Right. Exactly. But I mean, his play on the field is, it's spectacular, but it's kind of boom or bust sometimes, and it's been bust in the playoffs, unfortunately for him. And
you
for
can't
Bill's
be the best player and the best quarterback in said sport if that's what
exactly. Yeah, despite the changing times, you do still have to prove it on the field or on the court or the baseball diamond or whatever the sport. You got to go out there and do it. So
simple tenet, simple.
It's simple stuff. Yeah. So that about does it for us this week. Before we get out of here, I just want to thank everybody who joined us live. King B, thanks for always joining us in the chat. We appreciate it. That's the best way for you to hop on, and we'd love to see what you had to say, engage with us. That's always the best stuff. If you're watching us on YouTube later, please subscribe, like the episode. That stuff helps us out a lot. Also, be sure to check us out on audio platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you do check us out there, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a review. That always helps us as well. So as we get out of here, so for Tristan, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.